everybody, it's Katie from KatersAcres. Welcome back to my Polymer Clay studio. I'm so glad you have decided to join us today for the very first question and answer with me. So I am going to try my best to help each of you with some questions that you have thrown my way. If you have a question you would like answered in a future Q&A, just go ahead and leave it in the comments below and we'll build that into the next Q&A. Okay, the next question comes from Susie, and Susie says, Katie, what is the main brand of polymer clay that you use in your studio? That's a great question, Susie. Every polymer clay artist is different, and what we use is different. So it's a great question. There are lots and lots of brands of polymer clay out there on the market. And you can find all kinds of information on those brands. I'll link below a great review from my friend Ginger at the Blue Bottle Tree, where she kind of separates all the different kinds of clay and what you can use them for. 95% of the time in my studio, now let's keep in mind, I am a sculptor, so the things that I do is I sculpt with clay, whether it's dragons, whether it's faces, whether it's Parker, whether it is a marionette or some other fantasy creature. I am a sculptor. But the clay that I love and go to 95% of the time is Primo by Sculpey. It is absolutely hands down my favorite. It is very workable. The colors are based on a painter's color palette, so they are able to mix very, very easily. I love combining colors. They are rich, they are vibrant. Some are super saturated, others not so much. But I absolutely love Primo. I love its consistency. And Primo, as a general rule of thumb now from the store, anytime I have purchased it, either from the store or from an online dealer, it is way too soft, okay? What I do still to this day, there's a lot of conflicting reports about this, and I'm going to tell you what I do. Still to this day, I will buy clay, and I will put it in the very back of my clay drawer, and I will wait 3 to 4 months to use that bar of clay. Straight from the factory, straight from being mixed and compressed, it is too soft to sculpt with. I'm not going to lie to you. Great to cane with if you're looking for a cane that you can make quickly and pretty much reduce the next day. It's fantastic for that. But for sculpting, I need to let it sit. But 95% of the time, all of the things that you see me post on social media are using Primo clay. Now, if we are talking about my faces that I have been making so many of this year, I still use Sculpey products. And yes, I am on the Sculpey design squad. Yes, I am a freelance designer for Polyform. However, I am not being paid to promote or to give shout outs to their product. I will always be honest with you and tell you exactly what I use. And I have tried everything. My favorite, I have two. I actually mixed together some of the Super Sculpey Living Doll. This one happens to be in light, but there are 3 color shades, baby, light, and I believe medium. But I use the Living Doll, and I mix that with equal parts of Super Sculpey. I love Super Sculpey. In fact, I have 6 blocks of this right now because I use so much of this. And I will put a link to a post below where I tell you my Super Sculpey trick that I think many of you would find advantageous. But I use equal parts of both of these as a general rule of thumb to make my faces. If I am going to add some color, I will often add a little bit of pink, or if I'm making a troll, I will often add a little bit of jungle from Primo Sculpey line. So you can change the base color by adding a little tiny amount of another color, which I often do. So those are the clays that I use the most often in my studio. Okay, so the next question is, this is from Jan. Katie, how do you have time to get it all done? That's a great question. Getting it all done is something that plagues all of us. Now, my husband and I are very blessed. We have a church family, and he also does some construction on the side, which is how I got this lovely studio, because my husband built it for me. But we do not have children. So from that perspective, my time, I have more of it than a typical mom my age would have. I do have furry kids. I have a dog and a cat. But I have always been pretty good at time management. And the other habit that I actually learned from my husband was this. I know, right? It's list making. It's writing down everything that I need to get done and giving myself a time frame to do it in. That takes discipline, because there's always things that you think, oh, I can do that later, or oh, that can wait till tomorrow. But the way I get it all done is by making lists, by knowing due dates, by having a calendar that I look at almost daily to make sure I am not missing anything. So that is how I get it all done. Janet Collardo. Hi, Janet. I just had the pleasure of spending some time with Janet a couple weeks ago. Janet asks, what is my favorite type of jewelry to make? And she would like to hear what different artists are doing. So that's why she's asking what my favorite type of jewelry is to make. Well, Janet, that's a good question. I'm glad you asked. The long and the short answer is, I don't make jewelry. Why don't I make jewelry? I make jewelry components. I will make some beads, and I will make like this focal bead. But even this necklace for me is very elaborate. Why? For me, making jewelry does not make my soul sing. Part of being an artist is knowing what you love and being passionate about the things that you love. Jewelry making I don't love it. It's okay, I like it. I will do it, but it doesn't give me the love that sculpting with polymer does. It does not make my soul sing. So when I choose to do things, I will often make big, chunky focal beads. I will make character sculpted pendants for necklaces. But very rarely do I actually make or string jewelry. I would much rather make the components and allow one of you, my lovely viewers, to adopt that component and put it into your own work. But that is my own question, or my own issue. I'd like to thank each of you for joining me today for this Q&A, and I hope that you will leave all of your questions in the comments down below, and I will answer them in a future Q&A video. So thank you so much for joining me. Make sure you hit that like button if you learned something today, and subscribe if you haven't already so you don't miss any more of the Polymer Clay fun. I'll see you in the next video. Bye!